Hi, welcome to InSight. I'm Wendy Brokaw.
And I'm Ross Sutherland.
Any of us have had the experience of going out and seeing a poor doggie behind a fence. It's been there all chained up, no place to go, night and day. It's a pretty sad sight, and it doesn't have to stay that way. That's why we have Fences for Fido with us today. They have a solution for that makes everybody happy, especially the poor doggie. Would you please welcome in studio with us Michelle Capola and Bob Parker. Thanks for joining us today.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So tell us more about Fences for Fido.
Fences for Fido is an award-winning nonprofit organization that builds fences free of charge for dogs that are living outdoors, primarily outdoors. They have to spend most of their life out there on chains, tethers, and in two small enclosures, very small kennels. It used to be the primary way people kept dogs. Fortunately, that's evolving, but there's still quite a bit of it going on.
Wow.
And Bob, these fences, can you describe what they are? We've got an example of one here, obviously just it's the short stuff. They're bigger than that, aren't they?
Yes, we take an 8-foot 4x4, bury 2 feet of it in the ground with concrete, and then usually come back several days or a week later and string the fence wire itself.
All of our fences also have ground wire put into them. It's really important because dogs tend to dig out, and so it's very important that we put ground wire in, and then we basically adhere that to the ground with these wonderful stakes. Yeah, so it stays there and the dog is unable to dig out.
And then the dog obviously can run around. I was really surprised when you pulled out this chain and you said, oh, this is a chain that somebody had their dog on. And I'm thinking,
well, hold that up for you.
I mean,
yeah, this is, you know, it's funny. We don't see them on chains this thick and heavy that often. But this is a chain off of a dog that we unchained when we built a fence for them. And a lot of times they're on cables, sometimes they're on trolleys, but quite often they are on these chains. And many times we'll go and we'll see that the dog's collar is this chain is being used as a collar. And it's really, it's heartbreaking, and there are a lot of reasons why chaining a dog is such a detriment to them. And it's also a public safety hazard as well. A dog on a chain or tether is 3 times more likely to bite than a dog that is not. They also suffer psychological damage. They can suffer physical damage. There have been a number of dogs that we've paid for vet care for who have been chained long term. We unchained a dog that had been chained up for 15 years in Woodburn, another one up in Washington State that had been chained for 14 years of its life. And those dogs suffer some real physical damage from that constant chaining in addition to psychological damage. A lot of times it also happens those dogs become victims to free-ranging passing dogs that they can't protect themselves from and who are after their resources of food and water. We also find that the chain or the tether can get wrapped around stationary objects so the dog is not able to get to its own food, water, or shelter until somebody notices.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, it's a real problem to tether and chain a dog long term.
How do you get in touch with the owners of the dog, or they with you, or how does this relationship with the dog owner develop?
Well, there's a number of ways that we can be informed about a chained dog. One of the ways is the family hears about us and wants to do better for their dog. One of the things I think that we have found out over time in working with these families is that 90% of them absolutely adore their dogs and they want to do better for them. They just lack the resources or education to do so. And then the other way is sometimes animal control will be called, and they will refer a family to us because Oregon now, as of 2014, has a law that prevents long-term chaining for more than 10 hours to a stationary object.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
we were actually instrumental in helping pass that, along with several other animal welfare organizations in the state of Oregon. And another way is family, friends, and passersby who see the dogs chained and want us to help. And so we will actually go knock on the door. Somebody like Bob, as a matter of fact, Bob, who is a very long-term client outreach coordinator, that's what we call them, people who actually go knock on the door and say, hey, we're Fences for Fido. We'd like to help your dog free of charge.
And we get every response you can imagine, from who reported us to thank goodness you're here.
Oh my.
We also get people who don't believe they're actually going to get a fence for free, and they think there's got to be some kind of catch.
But there's no catch.
There's no catch. You know, we do have very strict requirements with regard to who qualifies for a fence. You know, it does have to be a dog that lives primarily out of doors, at least 10 hours a day, chained, tethered, or in a too small enclosure. Many times we'll get requests from folks who are disabled and can no longer walk their Yorkie or their Chihuahua, and that's not really something that we can do. There's a ton of need there too, and it'd be wonderful if there was an organization who could do that, but that's not really what we do. We want to address the problem of long-term chaining.
You need volunteers. Do you have enough?
No.
No.
Bob is worked to death. Thank goodness he's like our Energizer Bunny.
Yeah, we really need volunteers.
Yeah.
But I warn new volunteers, once they've helped build a fence and they see a dog unchained into a yard they helped build, they're hooked.
Yep. Once you see a dog unhooked, you'll be hooked. Isn't that what we said?
That should be.
So what does a volunteer need to know?
You know, they don't need to know anything. I'm living proof of that. I have built 20 plus. No, he's very educated about fence building.
Right.
I've built 20 plus fences, and I can tell you I still don't know how to build a fence.
Yeah.
But I could learn if I actually would, you know,
Well,
commit
and
it to memory.
it's also a team.
It's a team.
So,
You have a crew leader on site. You obviously have veteran volunteers on site, and they will show you what to do. You do not need to bring anything but yourself and maybe some cold water to drink. We supply everything, including the gloves, if you need them. And if you can pound a hammer.
Pound a hammer.
All right. If you can twist a tie like this with your fingers.
Yeah.
If you can beat one of these stakes into the ground. If you can use a bolt cutter to cut wire with. That's really all you need to be able to do. And we do have some volunteers to come on site, and they don't do a lot of the physical labor. Their thing is they just want to be there and hang out with the dog and maybe carry a few things out for us and help us clean up. And that's okay too.
So what it sounds like is that you're having all the problems associated with success. You do a good job, you're growing, and now you need to have a little more under that in the way of
More
volunteers.
people.
Yeah.
You need more bodies, more people for all those doggies.
You know, and if you are aware of someone, or maybe you know somebody, or you are somebody who is handy, maybe you're retired and you're looking for something to do with your hands, skills-wise, you know, maybe you've built things in the past, we need crew leaders. Crew leaders are people who actually go out, they load up the truck, and they go out and they show the volunteers kind of what to do, and they lead the build.
Oh,
go ahead.
I was going to say before we got on camera, you were talking also about the panels, that you also build panels and that those are movable.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting as well.
You know, the fences that we primarily build right now are these welded wire field fence. They're 6 feet tall, and they're with 4x4 corner posts and metal T-posts. But we are also building nowadays these prefabricated 6 foot tall panel fences, where it's chain link panels that we hook together to make a yard. They require fewer volunteers. They're about the same cost as that. But we do that sometimes because people who rent, if they move, if they're transient to some degree, we can maybe move the fence with them. We don't always do that. We don't always have the volunteer labor available to do that, but when we can, we do.
Well, how do we get in touch with you? Do you have a website?
Yes, we do. Fencesforfido.org.
Fencesforfido.org.
You can Google that. Put that in the Google search bar and it'll pop up. We also have a fabulous YouTube channel with the most amazing videos. Have a Kleenex box by you.
Oh, I
watch
can
it.
imagine.
Okay. It's really something. And beautiful videos there. And you can also interact with us on Facebook and Instagram as well.
Well, there you have it.
That's great.
Thank you so much for joining us today on InSight. I'm Wendy Brokaw.
And I'm Ross Sutherland.
We'll see you next time. A dog living on a chain is afraid, frustrated, bored, and so lonely. Fences for Fido is a nonprofit organization that builds fences free of charge for dogs living outdoors on chains, tethers, and small enclosures. If you love dogs, live in Marion, Polk, Clackamas, or Yamhill counties, and want to make an immediate, hands-on difference in the lives of these pets, we need your help. No experience or tools necessary. We'll show you what to do. And we promise that once you see a dog unhooked, you'll be hooked. Go to fencesforfido.org.
Bye.